an after hours live stream from 44 Tackle. And we got actually, so we haven't gone live yet, but we're going to on their live. If you want to actually find like the good live stream, you can go to 44 Tackle on Instagram or on Facebook. It'll be a live stream on there or on YouTube. But we are going to live stream it from my phone in here as well. We got Hunter Bland over there. We got Chris Kingery right there. We got Jacob. How do you say your last name?
Fouts.
Fouts. And he's actually from Chickamauga. We're in Florida, but he's from, are you from Tennessee? Okay, he's from Tennessee, trying to qualify for the Elite Series and leading the Southern Opens in points. He's a really cool guy. He's a really nice dude. So check him out. What's your Instagram real quick?
Jacob Fouts Fishing is my Instagram.
Jacob Fouts Fishing. So go check him out. But basically, you guys are going to be tuned in live to my perspective cam, and I think Bog is around here somewhere. There he is. You guys want to see Bog real quick? We will go. Hey, Bog. Hey, Bog, you're on live, dude. Say what's up. What's up, Bog? So me and Bog went fishing today. I did not get you video because we got totally stormed and rained on, but we did catch one decent one, caught one like 6.5, 7 pounds, and it was pretty cool. Probably going to go back out there and screw around a little bit tomorrow, but we are going to be doing a live. So if you guys have any questions, I'm going to try to keep an eye on the little stream questions right here, but also go to 44 Tackle on YouTube, and you'll be able to like drop questions in there. They're so much more organized than me. Let's put it that way. What's going on, Jessica? What's up, everybody? I hope you guys are doing well. It's, what is it, Thursday night. You know, we got one day till the weekend. The weather, at least down here in Florida, is, you know, dude, it's hit or miss. It's been really kind of nasty and windy, and it's kind of hard to fish offshore. That's what I've been trying to do. I want to send a shout out to, I don't know if you guys know Frank Olivia. We went out to the Harris chain yesterday, and we were out there, me and Frank, go check him out on Instagram, catches some mags, and has the Harris chain really dialed in. Super cool dude, has the most epic shorts and hats you've ever seen in your life. But basically what happened was at about 1:30 they started biting, and at about 1:30, I'll let you talk to Bog in a second, Ricky. At 1:30 my steering cable blew out, dude, and there's hydraulic fluid everywhere. So we were like 3 miles from the ramp, and we basically had to have one guy in the back steering the motor and one guy steering the boat to get in. It took us about 2 hours to get in, an hour and a half. It was an absolute mess. But shout out to Frank. Like he totally, dude, if it wasn't for him, I'd probably still be floating around on Harris. So I really appreciate it, Frank, if you're watching this, dude. Like, that was awesome. And then he sat in the parking lot, helped me fix it all up so we could actually get out on the water and do some fishing today. But we are about to go live on 44 Tackle, so I'm going to go shut up for a minute. I'm going to show you guys Bog, but stay with me. I'm going to be running this live stream all the way through. You guys can kind of see the sort of background action of what's happening. And if you want to tune into the actual live stream, go to 44 Tackle and look for the After Hours live stream. It's on Facebook, it's on YouTube, it's on Instagram. We're literally at 44 Tackle, this guy's shop, as he cracks open wow, he's getting a little raucous. He's got a Coke Zero. Yeah, it's going to get out of hand. But actually, this one already drank a bush. So we're getting there, boy. All right, so we got Bog. Bog, can you keep them busy for like 2 minutes until we go live? Are we live or are we?
We got 27 seconds.
27 seconds. Can you give us a Bog countdown?
Yeah.
Oh,
You just watch.
Silence your phones.
I can't watch pretend that.
I don't know if I saw.
Well, I usually put my TikTok thing on, but we don't do that tonight.
T minus 20 seconds.
All right. Can you check my camera real quick?
The Bog Star.
We're live. We're live.
We're live.
All right. It is, and I've got a bog under me. A bog dog. All right, so we are live with the Jacob Fouts, the Mikey Balls, and the Hunter Bland. Everybody is in town here for our live. We've got a couple new camera views than you're used to. So we're all here.
You're live right here, too.
Oh my goodness, I'm live everywhere. We're live on Mikey's YouTube. We're live on our YouTube, our Facebook, our Instagram, anywhere you watch us. Hopefully you follow. I've got it. Yep, there we go. All right. Sorry.
Guys, thanks for jumping in. Pillsbury Fishing, Jeff, Connor tomorrow, Dawson Wisner. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and load them in the chat, and we'll get those queued up for Mikey and Jacob Fouts.
Disaster almost struck. All right, so tonight, we've got a lot going on. We got Mikey in town, and he did a little bit of fishing around the area this week. I think. Are we going to Weir tomorrow, or are we going to Harris tomorrow?
I'd like to go to Weir. I'd like to go to Weir because if it was as rough on Weir as it was on Harris, plus the size of Harris, like we'll never make it out, dude. So we're going to Weir.
Weir it is.
Which I'm happy to talk about too. I had fun out there. It's a cool.
That's awesome
place.
because as long as I've lived here, I've never fished Weir. Out of all the places that we fish,
I've never fished it either. That's why I wanted to go, dude. Like
Yeah.
but we'll probably get there. It was a cool place.
Yeah. And then Jacob's in town, hanging out here at the shop, doing a bunch of stuff. And we've been. I guess we can go over a little bit of what Jacob's about here. He's the Southern Open Bassmaster Southern Open's points leader, leading the AOI race. He got a 4th place finish at Lake Harris for the first one, and was it 11th on Douglas?
11th, yep.
All right. Thanks for coming down. Also from Tennessee.
Thanks for having me.
We're excited. Hopefully we see you on the Elite Series this year.
That's the plan. That's always been the dream. So we put ourselves in as good a position as we can. Obviously, can't get much better than first. So we just got to go have a good tournament at Norman, and we should be fishing the Elite Series next year.
And for for a young guy, you're 23, right?
Yep, 23.
For a young guy, you've accomplished a lot in bass fishing already. So, I guess name off a couple of the things because I'm probably gonna get half of them wrong.
Yeah, 2017, me and my partner won the Bassmaster College National Championship.
No big deal. Just a little tournament.
Just a little derp, no big deal. What they do is after the national championship, they take the top 4 boats and put them in a bracket. It's the Carhartt Bassmaster College Classic bracket, and you fish head to head against the other 7 guys, and the winner of that advances to the Bassmaster Classic and gets his entry fees paid into the Opens that year. And I was fortunate enough to win that year and make the Classic in 18. And it's opened a lot of doors for me, college fishing in general, and just that experience getting to fish a Classic at 19 years old. It's something special for sure, and has definitely fueled the fire here the past few years to try to make it back and try to make the Elite Series.
Now, Mikey wasn't here for this earlier, but you told me a little story about your first Classic. We're gonna call it your first Classic because you're probably gonna go again. So he was at the dock, Mikey. First morning, first day ever, the Bassmaster Classic, and Edwin Evers. We were talking about Edwin last night.
Yes, we were.
He was the first person to walk up to him in the morning. And what did Edwin say? How did that go down?
So I was boat 22, and I believe Evan was boat 23, and we were all lined up there on the dock, and there wasn't a whole lot of space. So he tied up his boat right next to mine and asked if he could hop across my boat and get onto the dock, and hopped across. He kind of gave me the double tuck because I looked like I was about 11 at the time, and he goes, "Are you fishing the Classic?" I was like, "Yeah, I sure am." He says, "How old are you?" I'm 19, and he's like, "Man, you must be nervous." I didn't know what else to say. I was like, "No, not really. So, I mean, it's just a little 50-boat tournament, no big deal, right?"
50-boat tournament, Bassmaster Classic.
Well, I thought you said $50 tournament.
50-boat, no, just a little 50-boat tournament.
That's good,
But it's a
dude.
Bassmaster Classic. All right, so we it looks like Hunter's got something going on for us over here. He's very intent in his. I wish everybody could see. People on Mikey's stream could see him, but Hunter is like the man of all buttons over there. He's got.
I feel like I'm
2
like
computers.
I don't
he's
know
got
what
the
it's like to like
soundboard,
run a
he's got-
plane, but I mean I feel like I'm like controlling like everybody's life right now.
This
Like,
is
if
the
I mess
best.
up, it's all on me.
Oh,
No pressure, right?
no
No
pressure.
no pressure. Like 2 laptops, switching video, audio levels. Just a little pressure. But thanks everybody for jumping on. We had a great question from Dawson Wisner already, our very own. He said, Mikey, what's one thing you wish you could tell yourself 10 years ago when you were fishing out of your 10 rig?
That's actually a good question. I'm gonna say like the naughty thing, clickbait the hell out of YouTube. put ads on your videos because I never used to put ads on the videos, and that increases your play in the algorithm. And I thought it was like the internet, everything is free, everyone wants to learn. The other thing I think I wish I would have done is I wish I would have committed to it more. Like full send. I got to a point later on, I think we've talked about it, I shot like a 3-day video called Matted, and it was like, that's my greatest work in my eyes or whatever, because it was this huge compilation. It was like, it was a vlog before vlogs were cool kind of thing. And I wish I would have done more stuff like that, because I think representing that experience along with the learning, along with the process, I think is pretty cool. And that's literally what's happening on YouTube now. So I wish I would have just been more engaged, maybe 5 years younger or so, and it would have been cool. But it's still, dude, I'm in a really good place, so I cannot complain.
And Jacob, we also wanted to know, what's your best advice for getting into guiding?
Getting into guiding? I mean, obviously you want to have as much experience on the lake as possible. Just you got to have good people skills and just understand what you're getting yourself into before you do it. It is a big, you turn fishing into a job, and you have to enjoy fishing every single day, because fishing has become so popular. You have to enjoy it, obviously. And I mean, the biggest thing is just fish as much as possible before you do it, because it's a lot more stressful than people realize. And if you can't keep clients on fish, obviously your business is gonna falter. So obviously you want to put your fish as much as possible before you get yourself into it, and just learn as much as possible about fishing as you can. That's the biggest advice I can tell you.
All great advice, gentlemen. Brad Powell, thanks for jumping in. Bob, Sean Blackston's in the house. Taylor, thank you, Johnny, and Mama Kendry. She's in the house.
Oh, she is one of our best followers. She makes sure that we are doing everything right, and
our biggest supporter.
She's our biggest supporter and our biggest critic.
That's what makes us great.
Absolutely. All right, so we've got, earlier this week, okay.
No, somebody just put in here, I find podcasts so boring. That's awesome, dude. Way to be real with it. Well, throw some questions on here. Start a fire, dude. Like, I'm watching. You guys throw some questions down on the live stream.
So this week you fished Harris first.
Yeah, that was a disaster.
That was a complete disaster.
Yeah. Well, it started off really cool. I went out with my buddy Frank Olivia. You guys can check him out on Instagram. I was telling my live stream about it. Yeah, super cool dude. Knows that lake like crazy. There's a ton of offshore fishing. Great place to go. In summer, it's definitely a little off right now, and the fish aren't as deep as I'd like to see them. But basically, we sucked all morning. Frank caught like a 4-pounder, and then all of a sudden, about like 12:30, 1 o'clock, they started biting. Fish seemed to be up in the water column a little bit, and we started catching some fish, started catching some 2s, started catching some 3s, and what happened was, dude, is freaking, I don't know, it was probably 1:30. I let Frank go and idle some stuff, and I kind of just played hangout or whatever, and we turn the wheel, dude, and he gets this look on his face like, oh my God. And I see hydraulic fluid pouring down into his lap, dude. And so my steering went out. Thank God Frank was with me, because we were about, I don't know, like 2 or 3 miles from Hickory Point. And basically one of us sat in the back of the boat and steered the motor. We swapped up because it takes some effort to do it. So one steered the motor, the other hit the gas, and we idled / got on pad for like short, brief spurts, and got the boat in. But what really sucked, well, what was really cool was Frank hung out afterwards. He ran to freaking Ace True Value or whatever it is, got me the little nut to fix it. I fixed the steering in the parking lot, but the fish had started biting, dude. And that's the way it's been for me, whether it's down south or on Sebring or up here. You hit like 1, 2 o'clock, and storm or no storm, they start biting later in the day. That's what it's been all about.
Right. So so now that the steering's all good, you went on weir today.
Oh, and I don't weir.
On the roughest day possible.
Well, so this morning it was good, and I basically like hedged a plan, and my plan was, it's easier, as you probably know, it's easier to idle when it's calm. You can fish anything, like it taking water over the front, as long as you know it's there. So I'm like, it's halfway calm, it's blowing like 5 to 10. I can idle. So I need to find as many things as I possibly can before the wind kicks up at like 1 o'clock. So I idled. I was actually texting Hunter, and I found like probably like 30 or so brush piles. I found a couple like shell bars / rock. I'm not sure which they are. But found a couple spots and then went to actually go and fish them. I fished like 3 piles, and dude, the storm from hell showed up. Like that lake got naughty, like Okeechobee naughty. There were like 3-footers with like wind tops on them and stuff. I started taking water like over the side of the boat or the front of the boat. I'm like, dude, I got the dog with me. He's not wearing a life jacket. I'm going to go in for a second. So I caught like 1 2-pounder off a pile while I was taking water over the front. So we go and we hang out at the boat ramp. I check the weather. It looks like it's going to pass in about like 30 minutes. And I'm like, dude, we got some time before the live stream. Let me jump back out there. So we ran back out after the storm cleared, went straight back to where we caught that 2-pounder, dicked around, caught like a 1-pounder. I'm like, that was fun. That was cool. I can see him on the active target swimming back and forth. I'm like, there's some fish down there. And I've been catching a lot of fish on a hair jig, and it's the stupidest deal. I think it's because the water's high and it gets cool and these fish suspend. So I pick up a hair jig and basically doink it over the pile. And I hit the pile, and I'm like, crap, I'm hung, dude. And I pop it out. I'm like, sweet, it come out. And freaking a 7-pounder just annihilates it. My line went slack. I reeled down, and I only fished with 12-pound test on a hair jig. And, dude, like, I'm just sitting there holding on for dear life. That joker jumped like 4 or 5 foot out of the water, landed the fish. I don't think I caught any more after that, and then another storm pushed on in. But it's cool because it lit a fire to get back out there. I know what they're on now, and I know what to look for, and I need to look for more of that. And that's part of the game. You know, you find a bunch of stuff, you sort of do your ABC testing, and then once you kind of find what you're looking for and what you need, you go find more of it, dude.
Yeah, we were getting almost ready to see some of that stuff. We even got pictures sent to us of you idling around today.
I saw that on Snapchat. I had 2 people text me along with you, Hunter, be like, "You've been spotted on Lake Weir," and I'm like, I can't go anywhere anymore, dude.
Not at all.
And I know who did it too. Is the guy's cutting the lawn over there, dude.
Shout out to Kyle Tomlinson.
Yeah, dude.
Hey, Mikey, that's because you're a big deal, dude.
Well, so tell Kyle, there's a sick pile right there, dude. Like, seriously, there's 2 really tall ones. Like, it's like 20 foot of water, and then there's like this little bar that sticks out from there that looks pretty cool. And there's an 8XD down there, by the way. So
They look great piles.
yeah. Wow.
Tyler's Fishing Post wants to know, Mikey, what did you do for a living previously? And Santini also said, Mikey, surprised to see you at 44 Tackle Live. Really cool. Love those guys.
Hey, that's awesome. 44 Tackle is a
you.
great place, dude. I love Chris. Thank you for letting me stay at the house. So what I did.
Part of this week.
What's that? The cooking's been awesome. That's what I was saying. Your mom's like support structure on dinner, dude. I get there and dinner's ready. It's kind of awesome. But what I did is I actually went to school. I went to college and then I got my master's degree. And in the process of doing that, I'm one of those houses divided. I went to UF and then I went to FSU, but I went to FSU online. And I actually have my master's in library information sciences. So I worked in a health library down in South Florida, in like the medical library or whatever. So I'm kind of a dork. Yeah, I mean, like, let's call it what it is, dude. Years before that, I did every odd job you can imagine. And I think that's why I got into the YouTube stuff. I'd cut lawns. I'd do landscaping. I sealed driveways down in Miami. Like, I did all these things where I kind of worked independently, and all that made it a lot easier to sort of transition into kind of where I'm at now, doing some YouTube, doing some consulting, working from home, and it's interesting how little stages and structures in your life sort of build to something and you don't even know it's happening, and it happens organically.
And we had talked about it a little bit when you came up last time, but when you went to UF, you had a scooter, right?
I did.
Like the rig.
49cc scooter.
He had like the rig of Gainesville.
I wish I would have got pictures. That's actually, when you're talking about like things that I wish I would have got on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I think it was more interesting how I got to the lake versus actually what I did at the lake.
I think you need to recreate it in Alabama.
No, dude, I'd never make it up those hills. Dude, that hill on 441 when you go to La Calusa, I blew my scooter up on it when you cross
really?
over Payne's Prairie.
Yeah.
So, like, those hills I had a 12-volt battery at my feet, and, like, you do that with the trolling motor chain to the back, that's too much, dude.
Yeah.
It can't pull a trailer, basically.
So what is on your list for things, Jacob, for like Norman as far as preparation goes right now, because that's an important tournament for you. Coming in, and it's a loaded question, I'm sure. But what is your focus going into Lake Norman right now, and what goes through your head, leading up to that tournament?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just don't suck. But no, I'm not really going to try to change anything I've done all year, and I've had a good season. I've kind of got all my confidence back there from a few years ago. I kind of lost it there for a few years, and it's come back this year. But I'm not trying to look too far ahead. I know it's cliche to say I'm not trying to think about it, because obviously I am thinking about it, but you think about it too much, you're going to end up psyching yourself out. And you're not going to fish free. So
Yeah.
I'm not, I'm doing the typical stuff. You're looking at the maps a little bit, looking at Google Earth, stuff like that. I don't typically pre-practice. I don't like to get a whole bunch of preconceived notions before I go there.
Yeah.
I've learned you seem to fish a whole lot better if you just kind of show up and fish rather than getting a bunch of preconceived notions and stuff like that. So I'm going to do what I've done all year, show up 4 days before the tournament, practice those 4 days and go fish. I'm not going to try to get
Have you fished Norman before?
I've been to Norman. I was at Norman, I guess it would have been May of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Fished an open there.
I fished that open also as a co-angler.
Yeah, I had a rough experience. Norman's a different monster for someone that's never been there. It's nothing but docks pretty much the whole way around the lake. So
Docks and shoals.
It's a lot like the first time you come to Florida. You get here and there's nothing but grass. You're just kind of overwhelmed. It's the same thing there. You see docks and it's just like, okay, where do I start? How do I?
Right. How do you break it down?
How do you break it down? Exactly. It's just one of those things you just gotta.
That's one of the things, do you think that makes it easier for you this time around that you've gotten that out of the way though?
Oh,
As far as like now you've been there once, you've already, gone through the paces, and now starting out, you're starting what was your, let's say, day 7 there last time is now, your first day. You've already got all that under your belt. So now you know what not to do from last time to improve this time.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, it's totally different.
And it's different time of year too.
Time of year, so I'm not.
It's going to set up a little different, but.
I know how the lake lays out and everything, but you can really only utilize what you learned from the last time you were there, especially when it was 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
You can only utilize it so much because,
Things
like I said,
change,
it's September. You might as well just get it in your head now that it's going to be a tough tournament.
Yeah.
So.
Fall always is the grind tournaments.
Yeah,
especially when you throw 200 boats of pressure on it.
Exactly. Bassmaster Open rolls around, you can almost guarantee that the bite's going to be tough.
It'll be great the first day of practice.
Oh yeah, everyone catches them, and then everyone's crying the blues about how bad it is, and they still crack them. So I mean, it is what it is. I've just got it in my head. I'm just going to show up and go fishing, and it's one of those deals. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be, and if not, it's not. We'll give her another go next year.
Yeah. So what is your journey to the Elite Series mean to you? As far as what would it mean to you to be on the Elite Series?
I mean, it means the entire world to me. It's all I've ever wanted to do since I was 3 or 4 years old. It's a lifelong dream. So, this could be as good an opportunity as I have in my lifetime. So, I'd like to take advantage of it. But for me, it would mean everything. Fishing's all I've ever known, all I've ever wanted to do, and I mean, it's the highest level in my opinion, and that's where I want to be.
Do you think you've learned more between once you finished your college fishing stuff? Do you think you've learned more in that time between now and then, or do you think you learned more during your college fishing and earlier when it comes to tournament fishing?
Tournament fishing wise, I've learned so much more fishing the opens. It just I don't want to make this sound wrong, but the college series is super tough. It's very hard, but you get to the opens, that's a whole nother level. There, you can't have a bad day in the opens. Where in the college series, you can get away with having a bad day here and there and still put yourself in condition contention to do well. I mean, I did it in the national championship. I won. We only caught 4 fish the first day.
Yeah.
But I mean, we were leading. But if that was the case in the opens, you won't be leading with just catching 4 fish. You have to catch them every single
It's
day.
like Cherokee.
I mean, it's one of those deals.
Yeah.
My first year on the opens in 2018, most of the time I got my teeth kicked in. There's no way around it. I fished all 8 that year and
Yeah.
got my teeth kicked in. But that year I learned so much more than I had in my first year of college fishing. I mean, so much more. I learned what not to do, and just.
Yep.
You got to make those mistakes I wasn't getting out with college fishing because I was getting away with making the mistakes in the opens. You can't get away with making those mistakes.
Yeah, I look back at some of the fish that I've lost throughout those tournaments, and it's like that one fish changed like 20 to 50 places sometimes of where you would have ended up had you not had that one fish. And, you miss one fish here, one fish there, or, whatnot, or don't fill a limit one day or something like that. It'll cost you way more than even a club tournament or a BFL or something like that.
In the opens, you use a 5-pounder. That's depending on where you are. That can be 50, 60, 70 points, and that's the
Exactly.
difference between the Elite Series and not. So, I mean, it's
Yeah,
so those things
absolutely.
you either learn real quick or you get left behind.
For sure. So your support system going through, who would you say is your biggest supporters when it comes to, fishing in general, fishing the opens and all that stuff?
I mean, obviously, it's my family's been my biggest support. My mom and dad, my grandma and grandpa Olstrom, my grandma and grandpa Fouts. I'll never be able to repay them for everything they've done to me to give me every opportunity to be successful. So, I mean, family will always be my biggest supporter.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, that's that foundation, is always the most important part with any kind of career path like this, especially, if it's what you want to do to be a career fisherman, you have to have somebody that's gonna be there the whole time to, pick you up when you're not feeling great, and, after you get your teeth kicked in once or twice, and then, even with the good times too. So,
And obviously, as you move along and meet new people, you get friends like all you guys, Hunter, Chris. Everything you guys have done for me the past couple of years have made it far less stressful for me. So, I mean, as you go along, you meet people and friends. I mean, family and friends. At the end of the day, that's your biggest support system.
yep, yeah. And in this industry, it's a big industry, but it's a very, very small industry. As far as, I mean, just in the last couple of days, we've been talking about stuff, and the amount of people that you network with actually makes it a very, very small. It's like the 5 degrees of separation thing. Ask a person, you'll find out all the information you need to know.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, essentially, it's one big fishing family is all it is.
For sure,
At the
yeah.
end of the day.
Yep, we talk about it all the time, at the weigh-ins, everybody that's there once weigh-in happens, everybody's asking questions. Nobody, there's no hurt feelings, whatever. It's just, it's fishing. Everybody cares how everybody did, and they're worried how everybody did too. But then, and we've talked about it before, but since we're live, Mikey, tournament fishing, why has that not been in your future lately?
You want me to be like harsh and naughty or what?
Minus the naughty. I
Well,
suppose.
tell us why you don't fish the opens too, because we've had some questions on that about you joining us in the opens.
Because you're not gonna like what I have to say. It's a joke. Like and you get, and this is just my honest opinion. I'm not trying to be offensive to anybody, but actually, it will be offensive, and I don't really care. I fished the BFLs quite a bit. And the cost versus, let's put it this way, if you're not fishing these for fun and you're not doing it completely out of the joy and passion, maybe you want to be competitive, if you're fishing this for money, it's a freaking racket, dude. The BFL, I don't care if it's the BFLs, the opens, whatever. It's a money racket, because the money to actually support yourself and fish them, it's not like any other pro sport. The money is in the contract, the actual contract in relation to the sport. It's not about what do you call it when you get marketing, when you get say Jordan gets a relationship with Nike, what is that called? The endorsements. So fishing is the exact opposite. Unless you're like Jacob Wheeler, Kevin Van Dam, literally your survival is based upon endorsements. And so it's really not even the angler's fault or anything like that, but it's just To me, I was like a poor kid who barely had a boat. And actually, I didn't have a boat, and then I finally got a boat. And just the overall cost, I just thought it was a racket, and I thought it was being taken advantage of. And don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed fishing the BFLs when I fished them. You definitely learn in a tournament setting a lot more than you're going to learn when you just go out in the lake and go fishing, because you're pressured. That competition kind of fire kicks in. But I don't like the system, so I'm disestablishmentarianism, kind of thing. Yeah, I don't like the framework, and I'll be perfectly frank with that. I don't like the way the system works with pro fishing, and I don't like what it puts out too. I think it's a lot better now. We were talking about Edwin Evers and stuff. Like right now, like people have to be halfway honest. There's live, like we're doing a live right now. We got to be direct. If I shoot a live when I'm fishing on my YouTube channel, like if I caught it on a chatterbait, if I caught it on a zoom worm, if I caught it on a robo, I got to show that. And now you almost need to do that. Dude, no more than even 5 years ago, like these guys lie. And maybe it's not totally their fault, like, because, they got to use what works in that, but it's just this den of lies, deceit, and I don't like that, dude. It drove me nuts and kind of rubbed me the wrong way. On a low note, I mean, that brings let's bring everybody down a little bit, dude. Like, holy shit. Like, I'm being honest, yeah. But now let me frame something, because real quick. Now, the one thing, and I'm gonna do it with my live stream, I can't do what you do. Like, so I'll be perfectly honest. I couldn't like compete like that. I don't know if it's not like my nature. I couldn't live like that. I couldn't. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but like I couldn't do that. So I'll be the first to say that guys fishing at that level, drawing sponsors, traveling all the time, doing that, I couldn't pull that off, dude. I'd be destroyed. It's not in my makeup. So I'll be the first to admit that I can't do that. But that doesn't mean, like, I've fished for a long time. I've fished tournaments. I've been in the industry, and that I do have the right to have a perspective. I have a fairly decent experience in grounding, so I have the right to have a perspective, but I'll be the first to admit that I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not for everybody either. But the whole system is a little broken to that, but I think it's still a young sport in a way compared to others too, because we're still evolving every year. So hopefully, one time, I mean, there's been tries at it, but then they've all kind of
all petered. Yeah.
But one of these days, hopefully, one of those will stick. Like you've got like PGA and stuff like that, something similar to the PGA, where there's some sort of players where they have that you get your pro card and you got to go through school and all that stuff to actually be that professional.
Yeah, but I think that's a joke though too. Like Tyler's real? No, not Tyler's Real Fishing. Who's the other one?
Tyler's Fishing Post. He's on live right now too.
No, not Tyler's Fishing Post. The one is it Tyler's Real Fishing that keeps big on YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah, like so he made some TikTok thing about like the pros. He's going on this tangent about the spinning rod and the frog, which is great. Like that's cool, whatever. But like he's like, well, the pros said, and this guy made a comment, and he did some TikTok like duet on like this comment with the quote unquote pros. Like none of the pro sports work like this though. Right. And like we're all you were like a dirtbag kid fishing, like we start there, and granted we grow, but like it's not the same format, I think. And I don't think it ever can be, because it doesn't have the same structure initially. Even just getting into it as an amateur, and that it doesn't, the feeder lines don't kind of have that sort of structure. And I don't think it can, because a 50-year-old can fish the same derbies, It doesn't, the formatting isn't there from the ground up, because it is such an open sport, which is the best part about it. Yeah. So I don't think it can sort of weed itself out. It'll definitely improve, but like, I don't know. Because you see it now too, like, you chose the Elite Series, right? But I mean, you got the NPFL, you have MLF, which was FLW, but was MLF. Like, you see this divergence. You have YouTube fishing, which is not competitive, but it's its own little genre. Mm-hmm. Like, you have all this divergent sort of content and like competition going on, and that's because the demand's there.
Yeah.
You know, so like there's something else happening and it's trying to sort of like form its own little thing, but in the process of forming its own little thing, it's not like fixing one thing, it's sort of diverging out. I mean, I don't know.
Right.
Right. Yeah, bro, I hear you. I don't know.
We got
It's
Mikey triggered in, like,
yeah, but it's a
one
lot more
sentence.
dynamic, dude. I got a thing for that. Like, it's just
Yeah.
because, dude, my dream back in the day was to fish that. I actually, way back before they ever did Circuit Breaker, I'm like, dude, you know, it'd be really, really cool. And you know, this is like hipster shit. You know, like, bro, if I went on the Bass Opens and like brought a camera with me and captured the experience, 1 year later, like Circuit Breaker, and there's like 20 guys on YouTube doing it, but like. I don't know, like, I thought that'd be really cool, but then I just see the money thing, and it's just such a... you got all these support structures, and if you didn't have them, let's be honest, would you be... Yeah, I want to put that up. You would be there,
No,
dude.
absolutely not.
Yeah, dude. So, like, and blessed for opportunity, 100%. Like, you take what you can get, and you freaking run with it, but, like, how many guys are fishing locally or, like, in Tennessee on Chick or something like that are hammers?
Oh, everywhere.
You know what I mean?
Everywhere.
Like down on Okeechobee, I know a few of them,
Everywhere.
dude. And like if they had the shot, now granted, it's about taking the shot.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Like you got to take a risk to do that. You're sacrificing a bunch of stuff to do that. But at the same time, like if you're really evaluating skill level, kind of like Tyler was implying, dude, there's freaking hundreds of
and
guys that should be
there's a
fished,
ton
like
of
fishing
people
tour.
too that that even fish the opens that are super skilled, absolute local hammers and stuff like that. But they, the thing that it brings to the table that's a little different than just fishing a club tournament or BFL is you've got, like we were just talking about, if you mess up, you mess up, and the guys that are fishing, if you're not prepared for that field mentally to fish in that field with those guys, and also fish in a field where you do have guys that are trying to jump in on your stuff, you have guys that are getting to your stuff before you do, you've got to have plan A through Z to get through your day in a tournament.
100%.
Those guys aren't always ready for that to go in, and you're never going to see their true potential because those guys are in their home lake. I could name 100 guys that probably at their home lake are one of the best fishermen in the world, but until if they don't have that competitive spirit that they're ready to throw down with these guys, you're never going to see their true potential, even if they did take a shot.
I agree 100%.
And I think that's why a lot of people
I'll
also
throw this at you. All right, go.
I think that's why a lot of people also that are hammers like that get the funding to do it. Like, let's say they didn't have the funding and they got some friends that are like, you really need to give it a shot. Here's the money, go for it.
Right.
That you see do it for a year or two and back out of it because of that exact part, that there's more to it than just catching fish once you get there too.
I agree. And that kind of comes back to the same thing. Like the structure's kind of effed up.
Yeah.
Like I'm on a ledge because I don't think these guys should be paid by FLW or MLF or Bass or anything like that. But at the same time, the way the sport, I don't want to say polluted, but the way it's biased and sort of reframed, like the narrative is sort of driven by the endorsement stuff, is also kind of problematic. So there's like no good solution. But what I was just going to say though, like, so I look at my YouTube content and it's the same thing. Like, I'm not saying like I'm a competitive angler in that, but like, dude, there's people who shoot video and they have no concept of like how many times I need to try this or frame this or like try to get a day when I can, so like every aspect of fishing, whether it's the YouTube stuff, whether it's the competitive stuff, has these sort of secondary dynamics that make it hard and impossible for some people to do and make other people successful because they're able to deal with it. I don't think that changes though my critique of the professional end.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, and that's the same critical things that you could say about somebody on that's doing a YouTube deal too.
Bring it on, Chris.
I'm bringing it. So the the thing that people don't see on that side of the spectrum as well is you've been fishing 4 days this week, and or
0
3 days.
videos.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You struck out.
I struck
on
out
great content, most of it.
And it's all context. I struck out weather, and then I struck out because I freaking screwed up my thing. Like, it's crazy, dude. And then who knows? Maybe tomorrow we won't catch a fish.
Right.
You know?
And on the flip side of things is you do have a day job. You do have other things that you do other than
I wish I didn't. I need some endorsement.
exactly. But and then the question is, if you got those endorsements, would it, if somebody walked up to you and said, "Hey, I'll pay you $100,000 a year, but you can only endorse my products the whole time."
For $100,000, I'd think about it. But here's the deal,
Does
though,
that
Chris.
does that pollute it?
Oh, hell yeah.
It pollutes your content.
Hell yeah. But here's the deal, Chris. I'm all about, like, practice what you preach.
Yeah.
So if you notice on my YouTube channel, it's never blown up. It's like I'm like secondary important. A lot of people have seen some of the vids and stuff.
Yeah.
But one thing that I have tried to do 100%, and it's literally cost me money. I mean, like literally like dollars, is not chasing endorsements because I think it pollutes my content. Now that's a choice that I made and I suffer the consequences, but like because I think that, I act this way. And that's what I get maybe annoyed with the fishing guys. Is like you get guys who like get on tour and they're 100% anglers. I take nothing away from them. Dude, Jacob, you're freaking hammered, dude. Like you love to fish and that's what drove you to where you be. 5 years down the road, are you going to love to fish and love to take money from freaking X, Y, and Z, which is totally fine, but you know what I mean? All of a sudden, like, at some point, you have to make that choice. And I kind of made the choice, like, I'm not going to do that. If it infringes on my content and makes, like, a blatant bias that I think shadows the content, I'm not doing it. And it's cost me, but yeah, you make the choice, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the thing that I've kind of tried to tell myself here, if I make releases and all, is just be true to yourself. You look at a lot of the professionals out there and they're just puppets.
Right.
They're puppets for companies. They sell themselves out and then they turn into puppets. And it's just, you're getting away from why you started fishing in the first place when you do that.
100% agree.
I fish because I love fishing, not because I like.
But how long can you, I guess that's the question. How long can you last when you hit that level with those principles? You know what I mean?
Right.
Because reality
Right.
kicks in, dude, and I'll be the first to admit that. Like, it's not easy, dude. Like, we're just talking about how much it costs, how much, effort along with cash.
Yeah.
Like, and I want to put myself in a position where I catch them so good in tournaments where I don't
You
have
gotta
to
worry about it.
I
I
worry,
like
but
that, dude.
there's only a handful of guys that do
And
that.
that's
but
true, yeah. Like, you got 5 guys on bass. You got maybe, like, 5 guys. Well, the MLF's a little different because they're all sort of, like, their social media, the brands, they got a lot of those branded kind of guys on MLF. But on FLW, there's, like, 5 or 6 guys. It's a very small segment that can literally say, like, I'm going to fish 8 derbs, and I'm going to get paid, and, like, I can live off that. So, and that comes back to the question, like, should they get paid? And I guess maybe that speaks to there's not enough money in fishing.
I think the hardest part is how do you come up with a payment structure that works? I mean, how do they get paid back? Do they get paid back in entry fees to start, and then after entry fees they can make, or is it all endorsement driven? Is it that the network makes the endorsements?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not
Similar
here to solve
to
it.
oh,
The
absolutely.
MLF did a good job in a way because I think they're paying more places. So as long as you fish, as long as you participate, I think am I correct?
They started out that way and they backed it way down. Now
Did they
they're
back it way
now they're
down?
paying entry fees and
Because that way, like, you can
That was
finish
like
like
the-
60th and have a crap year and still survive.
that
you
was
know?
originally like the whole dream
for the anglers.
for the
yeah,
anglers.
dude.
It was
Yeah.
don't pay entry fees. You're
Yep.
going to get paid further down and everything else. And then there was votes that went through from the anglers and things that they wanted them this way or that way. And now they're back to paying entry fees and they're not paying.
I guess that kind
out
of
as
leads to
much.
the question. Like, obviously, that's not a sustainable structure, right? Because it's been tried. Like, does it need to be tried again 3 years from now? Do they need to change the format? Like, how do you get a structure that's it's going to include endorsements, but probably those endorsements will go through, like, say, MLF or Bass. But how do you get a structure that supports the anglers and doesn't, get that works?
The problem is I think there's too many organizations, and the only way you
Exactly.
can do that is if there's only one.
Yeah.
Right. So
There's so many special. It's almost like government, dude.
Yeah,
I mean, to be
yeah.
honest with you,
Yeah.
like everybody's lobbying for this and that, and yeah, it's a mess, dude. And I think that's the problem because you're never gonna please everybody. Learned that many years ago.
Yeah, there's always
and
going to be
it's-
another one starting up. It's
Always
just
gonna
like,
be, dude.
what you have local trails, you got BFLs, you got, Florida Bass Nation, you've got ABAs, and then so those are like the 3,
Mm-hmm.
I would say top tiers for the different, Florida regional things.
Okay.
then you've got guys that have fished those for years, and they'll say, that tournament director pisses them off. Then, and it could be something stupid. It might not even be the tournament director's fault, but they go, well, I don't like the way he runs things. I'm going to start my own thing.
Yeah.
And that's how we have 50 different trails
Yeah,
in
exactly.
the state of Florida.
Well, and that's why
fish.
we have the NPFL that popped up.
Yeah.
Everybody wants a piece of the pie, and I think part of it too is fishing, even though it's grown over the past few years, it is it's a segment. You're never growing more than the pie slice you want to take, so everybody's taking a slice, but it's only growing by a quarter slice a year.
Right. Yeah.
So,
until some of those start disappearing.
exactly.
It won't
room.
strengthen it's like it grows out and then it goes back. And
Exactly.
It grows out, it goes back. It's like it has cycle years.
And it's just frustrating too, because I'll be honest with you, I look at myself, who I love to fish. I wanted to do some of the open stuff, or actually it was, what the hell was it, the rail vacs back then, dude. It's
Yeah.
super old school. But I look at myself, I look at Jacob, and we're people who love to fish and we want to be successful at it. Yet the avenue to do it, it's a very limited, which it maybe needs to be, a limited pipeline, but I don't know, it's frustrating that there isn't more of an opportunity that's, I'm not big for centralized opportunities, but it is frustrating the way you have to go about it, I guess. And I can say that from someone who's not doing it, who's outside the circle. So I can have all these principles because I'm not in the mix. I'll be the first to admit it,
The interesting thing is I think it's created more opportunities for people in a sense. If you look back, when I was in high school and college, you looked at guys that were only professional anglers, right? That's how they made their living. Now you've seen YouTube come into play. You've seen guys start creating content, but they're fishing the opens. You've seen guys Kicking Their Bass TV partner with Luz and create his own rod lineup, where it used to be it was just professional fishermen, and that's where people were getting their content and learning how to fish. But there's so few of those opportunities. I think it's created new avenues within the industry to actually make people more and more creative to find different avenues to make a living at what we all love, which is fishing.
I think that's a great content, and you're 100% right, Hunter. And let me kind of put you in a corner. Where have those opportunities and where has that growth occurred? It hasn't occurred in tournament fishing. They've added content, they've added different ways they present it.
It's happened outside of tournament fishing.
Exactly,
because of the fact that tournament fishing is so small. But it's happened in different ways in tournament fishing. So you've seen guys in the opens that I think have started their own YouTube stuff and gotten contract deals and stuff like that, to where they're, because once you get to that high level, now you could have a $5,000 deal in the opens and you're making your own YouTube series like the Shire, Hunter did with 24/7 and stuff. But then you get to the Elite Series and now your operating expenses are $60,000, $70,000 a year. So now you've got to figure out how to pay for that.
Right, but is it a chicken or the egg thing?
That's
What
a great
first?
question.
What came first? Did they fish the derbs and then they're like, I need money? I know some of these. We mentioned Edwin Evers. Hey, Edwin, I actually met him years ago at Bass Pro. He was the nicest dude ever. But he's on YouTube to make money, dude. He's being helpful to other anglers. But a lot of these guys that are getting on YouTube, they want to make money. I have no problem with that. But they're coming over because they see dollar signs, dude. Because the growth opportunity that's occurred has occurred on the website, on the social media side. That's where the endorsements are being filtered through impressions on social media, not through impressions. Because Bass, MLF, they're going to get X amount of impressions, dude. No matter, unless they get more time, more airtime, more things like that. But people don't watch these network broadcasts anymore and stuff like that. So they're getting more of their impressions by hedging on social media, by hedging on web live streams and stuff like that. So the opportunity is coming from the sort of you're talking about, I guess. Correct. It's coming from the divergence versus the actual the old school structure. You know?
I think you always saw those guys that you looked up to on television through professional fishing, but I think it's really evolved and changed what professional fishing truly is.
Yeah.
Because you've had people can make the argument somebody on YouTube's got bigger contracts than professional, fishing.
Yeah.
But it's because of the fact of how they're.
Please pay me.
But I think it's how they're approaching it. But because there's such a small piece of the pie in professional fishing, people have had to get more and more creative to bring new information. To bring new information to people and reach new audiences. Because at the end of the day, I've had a ton of high school kids be like, hey man, I want to get a sponsorship deal. And it's probably one of the most commonly asked questions.
Yeah, 100%.
But what does every single tournament angler approach a company with? Hey, I fish
tournaments. Yeah.
Okay, so if there's 200 of you guys all sent the email at the same time and you said, hey, I fish tournaments, that's great, but you're now with 200 guys. But Fouts goes over there and he says, hey, I am the, could be the only guy in this Elite Series field this year that qualified, through the College Classic bracket. Well, he's got an accolade nobody else can say at that point during that field. Or, he's
I
a
agree,
younger
but
guy.
then I could get in the mix and I
And you
could
could
be
say,
another
"I'm on
200
YouTube."
guys. I'm on YouTube and I
Exactly.
reach more people directly than your broadcast do because like these guys on the Elite Series are only going to be on TV if they make a top 10 or if they. So
Right.
it expands the pool. Yeah.
So now from like a marketing standpoint, you got a Jacob Fouts, you got a Chris, you got a Mikey, you got a Hunter. We all bring different things to the table.
Yeah, there's the problem right there. The fish industry has become so polluted with everyone. You got YouTube now. You got
YouTubers.
you
Listen
got,
to this.
you got guys like Mikey over here. No, you got all the pollution from Joe Schmo down the street who fishes Monday nighters every
Let's
once
not
in a while.
call it pollution. Like this saturation. A lot of people saturation.
Dilution.
Dilution. Okay.
Where you got everyone within the fishing industry who considers themselves professional fishermen because they won a Monday.
Or professional YouTubers because they got a YouTube channel.
Right.
I need to go home.
And there's only so
I'm
much
just trying to relate it to him.
and there's only so much money to go around. That's why it's gotten
That's the
so
trick.
tough.
So it's not only there was a finite amount of funds, and now it's spread even thinner. It's like a crappy peanut butter and jelly
Exactly.
sandwich, dude.
Yeah,
Like
that's-
you try to take the end of the freaking jar and spread it over like 4 sandwiches, and
And
it's
add
garbage.
mayonnaise to it.
That's disgusting.
See?
I
Exactly.
heard people put onions on them too. so-
Whoa.
Yeah.
You see like those guys maybe?
Well, so here's what's funny too is like somebody just got on here and it's like, hey, the video game streamers now ruined Call of Duty. So like this is happening in all like in a lot of industries because this sort of web content and stuff is expanding. It's sort of like the expansion portion of a lot of these sports. Even like baseball does it, like football. Like there's this whole secondary market to content. People demand content and. It's just spreading the thing out. I don't know where it's going to go. That's kind of the fun part. I was in early with it, and I just thought it was cool that I could post videos and, share my experience. And, that's where I was innovative, and that's not innovative anymore. So now I'm just me shooting videos and stuff. But the direction things are going, I don't know. It's interesting to me.
We had a comment on Instagram from Jeff. He said, without tournament fishing, the fishing industry wouldn't be what it has become: boats, motors, electronics, baits, rods, reels. And then he said 44 tackle when a big tournament is won. Do you see sales spike in that certain bait?
Hell yeah.
It depends. It depends on who it is, what the tournament is, and I think it depends on how new that item is sometimes. And it almost seems like it can't be something that's so outlandish.
Like a
that-
duck.
Yeah, that would be a tough sell.
I tried to stick that in my
I don't know what you're talking about, man. Duck sells. That's why we didn't have any.
Yeah, right.
No, I think that with certain things, it's so weird too, because there's no rhyme or reason sometimes. Sometimes we can get to the point where, it can be something as simple as, Saturday morning TV sells more product than an Elite Series win. It just depends on, it's not so much the product that's used, it's how important the way it was used, or how innovative, or how big of a change it was. So St. Lawrence, a lot of people drop shot, a lot of people Ned rig, a lot of people drag jigs. But, Taco Ito won on a Nico rig. So that's a little different that you don't see as much in the headlines. So now people are going to start buying some weights. They're going to start buying other Nico rig things. They might buy the bait that there'd be that manufacturer's going to see a spike in sales, but I don't know that our store would, because one, we probably don't carry that exact bait.
If it was down in Harris, though, you would.
If it was
So it's regional, too.
Yeah, regional makes a play.
Yeah.
So for us, when the Harris chain tournaments come to town, It's a player sometimes, but it's usually the same stuff that wins at the Harris Chain.
Yeah, Florida's kind of weird.
We
like
don't
that,
have
though.
we don't have anything crazy. Like maybe a certain color will come to play.
I'll throw the Mega Bass.
Okay,
2 years ago,
yeah,
you wouldn't have had a
exactly.
Mega Bass in the store, dude.
For sure,
Yeah.
for sure. And actually, 2 years ago, I regretted not having a
Yeah.
Mega Bass in the store because I had people that, once again, sponsored by other companies, calling me on the phone on a regular basis saying, "Hey, you're a local store. Do you have Mega Bass? Do you have all the other good tournament tackle? Do you have
Yeah.
Mega Bass?" I'm like, and in my head, it's like, how do we make that investment and how do we take that leap for a $25 jerkbait? Because and we've talked about it before. When let's say you got Mega Bass colors, there's like 5 colors that you can go by that are probably good for almost everybody.
Right.
You got Wakasagi, you got like the blackback silver side one, the King Kura, which is like a golden shiner kind of deal, and then a couple other odds and ends like Sexy Shed and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the guy that is going to buy 10 of those and 10 of those, so that you get $250 in baits to one person,
Meet that
is
guy.
the guy that's got the odd color that he's only got one of, and he bought at some store across the country,
Yeah.
and he's going to want those. And then that's going to be the difference of selling a lot of baits, specifically on a knee-jerk reaction. If everybody's got that one bait in their box already, I think they're going to keep throwing it because they've already got it. So like now that Mega Bass is so popular, almost everybody that fishes on the Pro Series or any of the tournament series or anything like that, a lot of those guys that are even in the lower level already have that in their boat. A lot of them.
Right.
But if they've already got it in their boat, are they going to go out and buy another one? No, they're going to go throw that one. And if they lose it or if they break it or they whatever, knock the paint off of it, they're going to go get another one. But I don't know that we see a knee-jerk reaction to the sales on that one bait if it's a popular bait already. So
Yeah, but you see peaks and crests. I see how you're framing it. So
Right.
like you saw a peak when it happened.
So like the
and
last
then-
time something happened, it would be like a spy bait. Somebody went on a spy bait.
Okay.
And this was like a year or two ago. I can't remember which tournament it was to save my life, but
The
somebody went on a
dog
spy
just-
bait.
Did you hear that? Dude, that wasn't me. That was the dog.
All right.
And then he
Yeah.
walks away.
Yeah, Mikey.
I swear to God.
He's been over there the whole
No,
time.
dude, that was the dog. He does it. He did that on the boat today, dude.
What
Like,
did you feed him?
well, he
He stayed with Dawson.
stayed with Dawson.
Dawson could have
give
fed him
treats.
things.
Did Dawson give you treats?
If Dawson's watching, what'd you feed Bog?
So I gotta tell my live stream this real quick. So Bog has this terrible behavior. He literally does a naughty and he walks away because he's afraid of his own farts. I guess so. Little sidebar. Sorry. Back to the real content.
But like with the spy bait thing, that's not something that gets used in Florida a lot.
Right.
So for us, that was a big deal when that happened, and I almost got caught with my pants down on that one because it. Luckily, I watched that show, and we were getting ready to go somewhere. I think we were going to Champlain or something like that, and so I was like, "Oh well, that'll work up there. I'm going to buy them anyways because the guys that are going, even if we don't sell them off of this rush, And so what we do when we see a win like that is we'll buy 6 of each or something like that, throw it on the shelf and give it a try. And then if we based on the time that we sell through those, like if we sell 2 the first day of each color or something like that, or 5 total of that bait, I'll go ahead and order as much as I can humanly think of, because just that trend of that first day it was on the shelf, if it already starts moving that quick and it's not something that's common in Florida, that's something that I'm going to stock heavily on because I know it's about to explode.
Right.
And so we've done that with other things too, like when they discontinue stuff and don't put a press release out about it, people the rumor mill brings it out.
Oh, dude, I'm one of those.
That's the crazy stuff. Like Strike King Wake Sheds, that was one.
Jackal bow stick.
Yeah.
Dude, I found some of those at GTO. Please, people don't buy them.
Excalibur one knocks.
One knockers.
A lot of people.
Dude,
make a lot
that
of money
on this
one-knocks.
lake is because the new ones don't work as well. They still work pretty well. Fuck, you gotta quit hitting things.
But-
Can I change the direction of stuff real quick?
Always.
Okay, so I actually had a comment on my live stream that I think is really interesting, and Jacob, you can hit on this, because I think we see it more up in Alabama, Chickamauga, fishing spots, and you're starting to see it on Florida, especially on Harris, but people were talking about electronics. And it was from the tournament feed. Like there's some tournaments that don't allow electronics, or they allow just a flasher, some trails like that. But let's talk about, we got active target, we got pan optics, and these are first gen sort of versions
Now
of
Mega Live.
Mega Live, 360, all that stuff. And they're stupid as is, stupid in a good way. Like, it's insane. Like, I literally saw fish today. I'm going to put up a video. I'll self-plug. I'm putting up a video where I caught a fish on it. Like, there's 3 of them down there, and I drop a Damiki rig down there, and I catch the fish. It's awesome. So, this is first gen. It's going to get better, and it's going to get a lot better quick. What are your perspectives? Tournament guys, want every advantage they can get, but we're going to get to a point where we're going to see before we catch in a lot of contexts. At what point is it A-Rig 2.0 where you could literally win on every lake seeing them?
So my outlook on it, just as somebody who has one, I've got the Garmin Live Scope.
Yep.
And I don't have a 360. I kind of wish I did. I think it makes us more efficient. I don't know that it's the end all though, because the amount of people that have access to it at that tournament level, and I'm not talking about like local level. Not everybody on a local level can, afford to put $10,000 of electronics on their boat. But I think that with the field that like the level we fish at, we have to have it, right? So because everybody's got it. And you see the people that are proficient with it. Just because you have it doesn't mean it turns you into a better fisherman. You still got to hook them. You still got to get them in the boat. Hooking them's half the battle. The other half of the battle is what happens between hooking them and getting them in the boat. And that's the difference of what you're bringing away in a lot of times. So does it make us a more informed angler? I think so, 100%. It's just like the difference of having a flasher versus now having C-maps and having navionics and having...
Yeah, but everybody has that now. That's the point.
Well, that's the point. That's the exact
that is
point.
the point.
Because before then, you could say that was cheating. To have contour maps to know, okay, there's contour differences here. They're going to be on that drop. There's a trench that runs through here. It's the same idea.
Right.
You're taking out the mystery of a Carolina rig being your depth finder. So
I'm interested in your perspective because
I mean nothing.
No,
I get it.
No, you're right. But here, let me throw this specifically, because I know there's guys on Chickamauga catching suspended fish with A-rigs, and they're targeting 1 and 2 fish, and you can do that on Gunnersville, and it's stupid, and it's like stupid in a good way. Again, it's crazy. And it's going to change the game. So not only can we catch these fish on the bank, not only can we catch these fish on drops, on structure, on roadbeds and stuff, now we can catch them swimming out in open water, and it's just the first take on it. Like, from your perspective, I don't know, what do you think, dude?
Electronics have been evolving since, fishing started. You see I'm not of the opinion that electronics are bad. It's obviously I hate that they're so expensive and everyone can't have them. That is the sucky part in the fishing industry, because they do make you a better fisherman. However, just because you have them doesn't mean you're instantly going to be a better fisherman. You still have to learn how to utilize the live scope, the 360, but specifically the live scope seems to be the biggest topic as far as the 360 goes, or the fishing goes. It's opened up a whole different group of fish to everyone. Before, suspended fish were practically impossible to catch, or not suspended fish, but fish that roamed.
Yeah.
The shad chasers, and typically those are suspended. They've opened up a whole other level of fishing to everyone, and you've seen it the past couple of years how everyone has had the live scope, where a lot of tournaments have been dominated with the live scope. But I think that's because the fish haven't been pressured nearly as hard. You saw it with the A-rig when it first came out.
Yep.
They'd never seen it before, and they annihilated it. Well, I think you're going to see the same thing happen with the roaming and suspended fish. The more and more people that get the live scope and learn how to use it, I think you're only going to see it be such a big player in the fishing industry, in the sport of competitive bass fishing for a few years, just because those fish are gonna learn. Just like, I mean, you've seen it with the deep fish. When 5, 6, 7, even just 5, 6, 7 years ago, they were still. If you
Pretty
find
virginal, dude. You find them.
if you found them, it was just throw your plug down there, hit the bottom one, got it.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's after about 2 weeks of them being out there and everyone's taking their hot lap through them, it's.
I guess what I'm wondering is this: how do I frame this? So right now, I think we can all say at this table there are no secrets to an extent. Maybe there's one here and there, but there are no secrets. When we talk about this technology,
It's not the honey hole anymore.
there aren't honey holes.
Yeah.
And if there is a honey hole, you know exactly what it looks like with 360 or with your graph.
Yeah.
So as this technology improves, it's going to get better. And whether you're seeing the fish or whether you're seeing where the fish are in the context of how they're set up, we're going to know more about that and see more about that. Like, at what point is it, I don't know if you'd say not fishing, but like, is it just, there's no secrets. Like, there's no, you know everything. It's all interactive, you know, like you have every perspective, you have every POV kind of like perspective of what's going on. Like, it sort of takes the fishing out of fishing to an extent, and it becomes like a technology oriented game.
A little bit, but the other thing is you know, eventually, like Jacob was saying, it's going to get so pressured that it's going to go the other way. So and the one thing you can't really do as effective is, you know, fish grass cut, like, well, I guess I'm speaking of Florida, not out of state. Out of state, it's
It's a pretty big deal.
it's a pretty big
Yeah.
deal when you don't have anything but cover.
Yeah.
You know, your cover is wood, rock, and
Because I can see them in the wood.
Yeah.
Like, you go down a bluff wall and there's a tree
Yeah.
fall, dude, and it's like,
for
holy crap,
for
there's all
Florida,
the
it's,
brim
you
in
know, we've got mats of grass, and
Yep.
you know, there's a lot of structure that gets in the way of being able to figure that out. Not to say it's impossible for them to not put a filter in there that's gonna weed that out, but
Yeah.
you know, or change a color of, you know, a hot spot or something like that in the grass. But I think that at the end of the day, you still have to be proficient to use it, to be the one to be great with it.
But that baseline keeps going up, is I guess what I'm saying. And then I'll throw this other question at you. And Hunter, I think you can speak to this because you kind of, you mix with the tournament stuff, but then you mix with a lot of, like, you know, your local anglers. You're at the counter at 44 Tackle a lot. At what point does, because part of the reason this technology is evolving is because they can make money. And I got no problem with that. But, like, we got a trolling motor. We got awesome graphs. How can we add to the boat and not only make it more fish catchable, but add sort of amenities, add fishability to it, and make more money? Like, at what point does that line get crossed and all of a sudden this angler, we see it with the growth in kayak fishing. There's guys who, they put a lot of gear on kayaks, but like in the end, they don't want to pay for a $70,000 boat with all the amenities. At what point does the everyday angler, the entry-level angler, become alienated because we push so much towards technology?
That's a very, very good question. A very, very good question, Mikey. I don't know what that point really is, to be honest.
Because I hear it now to an extent. I hear guys like they tag me on my electronics and they've never seen me in my stupid John boat. Like literally renting a John boat.
So I'm
like,
gonna throw
you know,
a
like
curveball.
okay.
I'm gonna say don't fish outside of your means. And what I mean by that is if you want to fish locally, do what you can do and do what you can afford for locally. Like if you want to put $30,000 of electronics on your boat locally and dominate offshore, that's you. But you don't have to necessarily have that.
You be you, bro.
You be you, yeah. But I'm just saying, you know, there's nothing wrong with jumping in a Hobie kayak and going fishing. You know, there's nothing wrong with that if that's how you enjoy fishing. If you're jumping in the opens like Fouts, I mean, if he doesn't have, you know, 5 graphs on his boat like everybody else seems to have it these days, so that's where the competition comes in. So of course he's going to look to outrig it that way.
Right.
So, I mean, it's a difficult question
I
to
just
answer.
want to throw this in there before you jump in, Jacob. just to kind of like come back full circle, because this is a conversation we've had before, and I like having it. We were talking about like divergence and like how you're getting all this branching out. This is one of the reasons.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's bad. Like, I'm not trying to interpret things like that, but I want to have a real conversation. And one of the real factors going into the fact that you have YouTube content of guys bank fishing and getting millions of views and doing that kind of thing, but then you also have tournament fishing, is because of the cost involved with and the development, which is awesome, of these electronics.
You know, you see it now. Everyone, you know, you get to the level I fish at, and everyone's got the same electronics. Well, that's all fine and well, but if you can't catch them,
Yeah.
it don't mean a thing.
Yeah.
You can have all the electronics in the world, and if you don't know how to utilize them and still catch the actual fish yourself, they don't mean anything to you.
Yeah, but the trick is at your level, they know how to catch them.
Right, but-
and not only that, they're looking for an advantage, and they'll know how to use the tech. And if they don't know, let me throw it to you this way: if you didn't know how to use it, what would be the first thing you'd do? Learn how to use it.
you
Dude.
learn
Yeah,
real quick.
exactly, dude. So
It makes you rise to the occasion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that leads to a demand though, and like sets
Well-
it up as a must have versus it's sort of a way. What's the right word? Instead of a growth thing, it becomes a necessity. You know, it's
Or
not-
does it turn it back into like back in the day? Let's go back 15 years ago. All right. What about when you know bass boats started getting all the glitter on them and things like that, and it turned into you go from the typical motor type being a 150 to a 250.
right?
You know, that transition period. What happened back then was, I think, the same thing we're going to start to see now, but what happened back then was you had guys that would have the under 150 horsepower.
Yeah, kind of like these guys are talking about.
Like
with the
ABA used to have the
tournaments
150, the
without
one
electronics.
less than 150 class.
Yeah.
And I think that's something you may see, and you may even see that in tournament trails as a whole, like the offshore tournaments do that. You know,
Okay.
they've got different boat types, different motor types. They got a single motor, dual motor, quad motor, so that they're competing against like style boats.
But again, it's segmentation.
Oh, but
Yeah.
but like in those offshore tournaments, it's segmentation under the same series and the same exact tournament.
But
So
it's
they'll
still
all leave at
segmentation.
the
It
same
still
time.
branches it out.
But yeah, for people that want and
The
there's
people that want it's more
in
choices.
it's
yeah.
more choices, but you don't have to make a whole new organization to do it. Is what I'm saying.
But those do form up though, just like we were talking
Oh, for
about.
sure.
Like
You're
some
never
guys
gonna-
don't want to fish X and Y derby because of certain
You're
rules.
never
and
going to
stuff.
stop it. It's no different than products in the
growth.
market. It's
Yeah.
growth in products in the market.
I agree with that. I
You
guess
know,
what I'm just framing
if
is
there was
that
only one car made in the world, we'd all be driving it. But because
well, that's gonna happen.
you-
We're all gonna have to drive Teslas.
Oh.
The way this shit's going. Like, Jesus.
anyways, but
Yeah, you want to talk about threatening fishing? Electric trucks. That'll be a
electric
trip, dude.
electric boats are coming back everywhere.
Yeah, but that's the thing though too.
Yeah.
I guess
Well,
like
90 mile an hour bass boats on all electric motors soon.
90 miles. That'd be sick.
Well,
dude.
think about how fast a Tesla is.
Dude, I'd love how quiet it is because I think one of the reasons when you idle some of those ledge fish that they get spooked,
Yeah.
like the ping is bad, but it's the glug glug
Well,
glug. like-
here's the other question: is an electric motor make more interference for them to affect them?
Oh, 100%,
just like
yeah.
we say that depth finders and things like that. The sonar, the ping can.
well, it's gonna screw with your graphs, dude.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's gonna be a mess.
So,
God, the world's
you get-
ending. I quit fishing. So this live stream is the end of Mikey Ball's fishing. So.
Oh boy, we're gonna get hate mail now.
No. I think it's a cool thing to talk about, and I don't think it gets talked about in a very direct way. We have literally 4 total different perspectives here. Hunter, like you're sort of an ambassador, for Yamaha, for boater safety. You fish college fishing, you fish competitively, you work at a tackle store. Chris, you own a tackle store. I'm a bum. And I try to shoot YouTube videos, dude. People call me a bum because my hair is long, but whatever. And then you got like an up-and-coming angler who's like, you fish college fishing, you want to fish at the highest level. Like, it's interesting to have these conversations realistically because in the end, like, we're going to be the ones that decide how like things work and what gets focused on, what doesn't, what gets forgotten. And like the people who watch my YouTube, like there's all these different perspectives that are now being heard because like even us, dude, like years ago, we didn't matter. You know, and I think that's actually the coolest part about this whole conversation is the voices. You're talking about like clutter or pollution. You know, there's a lot more voices coming in, but at the same time, more voices being heard in this thing that we love to do leads to more development, leads to more ideas and more divergence. A lot of them fail, a lot of them go to shit, but like it also means more creativity and maybe there's a solution for some of the things that we're talking about. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, competition in the marketplace is
Exactly, dude.
You know,
yeah, I like it. The demand is there. So
it makes everybody rise to the occasion to build a better,
build a better
reel.
industry, better
Build a
reel.
better mousetrap.
Yeah, dude, and I think it's cool because fishing. I love fishing. The happiest moment I am is that like 5 minutes when I get to the boat ramp and I'm like unhooking the boat and going in the water, or when I used to bank fish all the time. When I'd like bike up with my backpack and rods and I get there and be like, I get to go fishing. Like that is the happiest place I am. So any way that we can like talk about and like sort of drive a better fishing future, it sounds so freaking lame, dude, but like just drive that, I'm 100% about that. And you got to have these conversations because you're not going to get these conversations out of bass. You're not going to, no offense to them, but you're not going to get these conversations out of bass. You're not going to get them out of MLF. You barely get them out of YouTube. You used to get them out of YouTube to an extent, but you're not going to hear people talk about this. And this is the shit that people need to talk about and need to think about because we decide how this stuff works and what's important, what has value, what content has value, what content we want to see, how we want to be better at fishing, and what direction we want to go, you know?
Right.
I'm getting fired up, dude.
Get them fired
Holy
up. We
Jesus.
triggered them off. Oh, man. What do we got in the chatter, Hunter? Silence, crickets? Nobody wants to see Mikey today? Nobody wants to see us?
John
I'm probably
Dutch
pissing
said
people
this has
off,
been an
dude.
amazing live, lots of amazing views from all sides.
I think
Thanks
that's
for
what's
the
cool.
feedback, John.
We kind of all did, like, we all got our own perspectives. And we're all fighting for what we, what makes us better and grow, you know?
And that's what I think's cool though, is like we all have different, backgrounds, but we all started somewhere, 10 rig, college fishing, little aluminum boat, at a pond, wherever, and now we all have, different backgrounds within the industry.
And we all want to like I think that's the one thing that is unifying. There is a unifying like trope or narrative to this. We want to fish. We want to be able to fish. We want to catch more fish. And like that basic drive, I think a lot of these arguments, if we kind of go back to that, it sort of simplifies things a little bit because it's good to have all these different perspectives and people do get way, way fired up online with it. But like in the end, dude, we all love this game. I don't care if you've taken a bunch of endorsements. Like, you started at square one and you love this game, and that's what drove it. So we have that sort of unifying narrative to get behind when all the balls drop, Balls.
So, Jacob, what would be one piece of advice for up-and-coming anglers?
Oh man, anyone young, don't get too caught up in social media and all that stuff. Just go fishing. That's why you fish. That's
Unbelievable. Everything's a tag for me, dude. You guys are
No, just
yeah, go fish.
Go fish. That's why I do it, because you love fishing. If you want to fish competitively for a living, social media stuff and the sponsorships, and go learn to catch them, and all that stuff will come along. And same with YouTube. Mikey can give you more insight on that than me. I don't have a clue what I'm talking about there.
I think that's the most common advice that we hear from like any segment we've ever heard. But it's the most common advice, but like the most misunderstood advice, I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
because of the way people interpret it. Like we get kids in here all the time that are ages 9 through I'd still call them kids at 30 these days, in a way, at the same time, some of the questions we get asked, but the misunderstanding, I think, of exactly what you just said is it's not so much as easy as saying just go catch fish. It's go do something you like, and the rest will come because you're putting in the work.
Yes.
Not that you're catching fish and winning tournaments, but it's the full circle that you enjoy what you're doing and you enjoy waking up every day. It sucks to wake up at 4 a.m., whatever, you know, to get the boat ready, to go get your stuff, you know, go to the gas station, go to the, you know, go get food, go get all those things ready, gas up the boat, and then you get to go to the water, and then you find out, you know, it's blowing 30 at the lake,
I
and
mean,
it's
that's part of
raining,
the-
and it's all that
That's part of
stuff.
the experience. That's part of the
It's
fun.
exactly
That's why you do
But
it. It's
you
the
know what?
unknown of what the day holds.
The guy that went out there, you know, and skipped that day of practice, and then complains that he didn't catch him well enough because the guy that went out there and practiced fished the same conditions the tournament was. You know, that guy liked to fish because he wouldn't be out there in that crap weather
Oh, yeah.
if he didn't like to fish.
And I think that's really a good point. You guys both hit it like organically. It's amazing. This is like the human philosophy or whatever. But
Oh, we
like,
need to get Parker Mott in here.
yeah, right.
The
No, but like
psychologist.
I personally believe like the best things that have happened in my life in relation to fishing have organically evolved, and maybe they didn't happen as quick as I wanted. But like you said, you go out, you put in the work, you go fishing. And like I shot some videos because I wanted to share the experience because I wanted to log stuff, and like it's grown into this. You did college. Jesus, I'm throwing stuff everywhere. Yeah, you did college fishing. You fished the opens, and you've made choices and you've pushed yourself, but like you organically kind of let that path kind of open, and now you see the opportunity of fishing like the Elite Series, and you're gonna grab at it, dude. But it's sort of you put in the work, you laid down the infrastructure. Whether it was gonna happen or not, you don't know. But freaking, it's happening, you know, and you do that work, and it's amazing what'll happen if you put your. She's like, God, this is so stupid motivational. It's amazing what'll happen if you put your mind to it. Don't follow that.
Very cliche.
Yeah, very cliche,
Mikey
dude.
caught himself giving motivational
I'm
advice. That's what
fired,
happened
dude.
there.
I am fired.
It's going against everything he's for.
Yeah, I got a good question from my life. Do we have time?
Absolutely.
Okay, so somebody just said, and this is as long as we're ruffling feathers, dude. Let's ruffle some feathers.
Oh boy.
What about tournament guys fishing on the weekend? So you guys usually do 2 days before, or well, in the Elite Series, it's 2 days before the weekend, and then you get the weekend if you make the cut. So you got a weekend derby out there. So you got guys, especially on a place like Chick or something like that. There's spots, there's community holes. That's just the reality of it. What happens? What's the protocol in your mind when it comes to a weekend angler versus say like an open event or an Elite Series event angler on the weekends?
I mean, they have every right to be out there just as much as we do. Obviously, there's a little bit more on the line for us, but they are just as entitled to be out there as we are. So, I mean, it's...
How do you deal with it? Because I mean, you're super dude. I met you all, like off the camera and stuff. Like you're super chill. You're super nice. Like, do you have like a protocol that you use? Say you got a ledge fish or something on Chick, and you're fishing a big derby or whatever. How do you approach it?
It's real simple. If there's someone there, just ask.
Really?
It's not hard.
So you just ask,
Just
like,
say, hey man, do you care if I fish here next to you? Do you care if I? Yeah,
I
it's
think that's the
That's
right
the
way.
same protocol during a
Yeah.
like tournament angler to tournament angler is the same protocol as anybody pulling up. Do you mind if I throw? I want to fish out this right side. You're fishing this left bank. You know, I'd rather fish out the offshore stuff. Is that going to mess you up if you're already there?
Yeah, because I think it de-escalates it from the start. Like it starts
Yeah.
off as a, hey, do you mind? Like it's
Oh,
polite,
for sure.
common
At-
sense.
at all
like-
angles. And
Yeah.
then on the same token, though, that I say to somebody that would be on the weekend angler while there is a big tournament going on, and it happens every lake we go
Oh
to.
yeah, dude.
But the thing I would say to those guys is put yourself in the same exact shoes.
Empathy, apathy, and sympathy, baby.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and that goes with all conflict, though.
Yeah.
All of those situations that could arise, you want to put yourself in the same exact situation as the person you're talking to, and decide how you want to be treated in that. And I think that's where it becomes the thing. If you were the guy that was sitting in second place right now, and you really had to catch that extra 4 pounds today to make first place, or 2 pounds, or 2 ounces.
Yeah.
And every fish counted, and you knew for a fact that guy was sitting on your fish all week, and you've been chomping at the bits watching him on live all week going, man, I really want to go wreck on my fish.
Or you got a derby
Because it's
or
my
something.
one day off.
Yeah, like
Think about that guy that, maybe doing this like Jacob, that he only guides, for his main income right now. And his bonus is, winning this tournament that he can sit easy the rest of the year and, make a living because he's been breaking even all year to fish these tournaments and make it to the next level because that's his choice. You know, if that was your dream, is that the way you would want it to go down? That you wake up and somebody got up at 3 o'clock in the morning to get to their stuff because they knew you were going to be on it first.
I don't even think they knew you were going to be on it.
It happens. It happens a lot.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. At one of the tournaments, we're not going to say which one, but you know, I watched it happen to him.
I did it.
He was a lot. You know, he was a top 20 guy. We'll call it one of the last couple days, and he had been in the same area all those days. And before launch, you know, we early launch 7 a.m. You know, and there's already somebody on it at launch.
I think though that's where it comes to.
You know.
Jacob, you're 100% right. Like a little common politeness, and there's gonna be those guys that are. They're douches about it. They're just like you know. But like, I think common politeness goes a long way.
Just like on the one MLF episode, there's a local, you know, on one of those deals that was out there, and I can't remember who it was. I think it was Anthony Gagliardi.
Oh, I saw that. That was
and he's like, why don't you get a real job?
Yeah, that got
you know
that got heated.
I feel like that's you know that's his opinion
good
is
content.
that fishing
Good
isn't
drama.
a real job, but today's world it's a real job. Just like somebody would say to you, get a real job, Mikey. You're
See,
on YouTube.
again, Hunter,
You know?
can you pot him down, dude?
I'm just saying.
This is such crap, dude. Like, I'm trying to be honest
doesn't
and
want me to
direct,
relate
and like, I get
anything to his world.
shanked, dude.
But
No, you're 100% right. Because, and I can directly relate to that. Because and it wasn't a real job for me then because I was working a normal 9 to 5, but like, I got laughed at when I did this YouTube stuff because I was doing this YouTube stuff in 2010, 2009. And like at that point, to see some dude show up to the ramp with a camera or show up with a chesty and stuff, they're like, what's this tool bag doing? Now it's like, oh, he must be cool. But like back then, dude, it was.
it's the rap boat.
Well, it's rap boat. Thank God I got that rap protects boat. But no, I mean I can relate though because like they did laugh at it. I was doing it for different reasons, but like you know, you're doing it for the love of it. You're doing it for the sport. You do it because you want to share that perspective and that, and it's all interconnected, man. And like it doesn't feel good. And there's going to be those guys that just don't relate well. But Jacob, you're 100% right. I know you can tell I have a bit of an attitude and a chip on my shoulder, but like if somebody pulled up on me and said, hey, do you mind if I fish? You're 100% more likely to have me be like, dude, come on, like get up here, rather than like pull up behind me, creep up and play Mr. Sneaky, you know?
Yeah, and you know, I've been in situations on the water where I've been in arguments with people, and looking back, I'm like, you know what, on my part, that was totally stupid and rude and unpolite of me. I shouldn't have done that. And as I've gotten older and matured, I'm just like, just ask. It's really simple.
Yeah, it seems like a lot, but I always say you're 50% more likely to get what you want if you ask, dude. So
I mean, if you don't ask, the answer is always no. So
exactly.
Well, Bradley Hallman had during one of the opens in Texas, I think it was Louisville. He had a very good video on conflict resolution.
Sam Rayburn.
Sam Rayburn, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Last year he had a conflict where it wasn't even a conflict. It was right up blast off. There was another guy in front of him, and they were both racing for the same creek. And when they went into that creek, the one guy shut down and power pulled down in the middle of the creek as he was pulling in. And so that guy thought he was going to block the creek.
Smooth.
And it was like 3 boats wide. So it wasn't a small creek.
Yeah.
It was enough to pass and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But the creek went back like a mile.
Right.
And so he stopped at the front of it and thought he was going to have the whole thing to himself. And it was very clear that he really wanted it because he knew what was there, but also, Bradley did too. And he pulled up and just, started idling around. The guy swung the boat out, and he got up on his trolling motor and kind of said, hey, we're both here for a reason. Do you want to fish through, or do you want to go to the back and fish back? And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, well, we both know there's fish here. There's plenty of fish for both of us. I'm going to fish this creek one way or the other. Do you want to fish the back, or do you want to fish the front? And he's like, I can idle all the way back, and I promise you I will not fish anything from here to the back, and I will fish back towards you, out of respect. Or I can let you have this thing, and you go do the same, and I'll start here, and we'll meet in the middle somewhere. and I guess they decided that he'd let him go all the way through.
That's pretty cool.
So, and that was their resolution. The whole thing was caught on GoPro. And,
That's pretty cool.
And whatever. And he kind of walked everybody through that kind of stuff. And that's how it should go down is, there shouldn't be screaming. There shouldn't be boats bumping. There shouldn't be people getting mad. And,
Yeah, but that's what YouTube wants, bro. That's
I
what
know.
TikTok wants.
Well, I think YouTube wanted that video too. Because
Yeah.
that was conflict resolution. It was a happy ending.
Yeah.
I mean.
Well, it was a resolution. I don't know if it was a happy ending, but yeah, it showed it was the right way
Right.
to do it.
It was, yeah. It's sportsmanlike conduct.
Sportsman. I like it.
But so as far as tackle selection goes, we'll
We're gonna tone it down a little bit.
pivot
All right.
to what some of our followers will want to hear about. Since you've been back in Florida for the last
Not telling.
couple weeks,
Not telling.
Fouts will tell us.
I mean, there ain't nothing to it.
anyways, since you've been back here, your tackle selection when you've gone to some of these lakes around here.
I fished offshore 100%.
Okay.
What I've found is I'll throw a big secret out there because it won't change anything because like Jacob was saying, you still got to catch them and it's hard to catch them. When it rains like this in late summer and you get continual storms, it screws up the offshore bite. And the fish suspend more, and there's one of two reasons, or maybe it's both, that it happens that I assume in my fishing analysis. One, it cools the surface temp, and the fish rise towards that. Or two, because the surface temp is cool, it raises the bait, and then the bait follow it up. So they still use some of the structures. It's not nearly as good as it is in like early to midsummer, but they're up in the water. And the water rises. That's the other thing.
Right.
So as we know, when the water rises, fish usually rise. Usually they go to the bank, but when they're situated offshore, they're kind of like set up for the year, and they tend to just rise. Makes them hard to catch. But what I've done is, if you go back on the YouTube channel, I call it like an 11-4 drop shotting. So basically, like, it's a bait that's a little up in the water column. I could not catch fish on a jig this year. I caught a few, but like last year, I could not throw any other bait, like dragging through brush piles, dragging across shell bars. Nico rig last year was super hot. This year, I didn't catch dick on the Nico rig. Hair jig, scrounger, riding it up. What are some? Oh, and then I did a really, I thought was a really cool video. You know how you like up north we swim a Kitech in fall, like on a ball head for spots and that. Basically, I was swimming a Ned in the same way. So I'd take it was a JT Kenny Nichols Ned, put a little Gambler Fat Ace on it, and I would swim it. Ever so slightly, 8-pound test, 14-pound braid on a little medium action rod, and basically you swim it super slow. You like give it like 6 or 7 cranks, like whoa, 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 and then instead of slacklining it, you just let it glide and pendulum down, and they were smoking it. But everything was up in the water column, and you'd either catch them during the continual reel or on those pendulum downs, and that was my trick. Even today, going out to weir. That 7-pounder that I caught was on a hair jig. It was off the structure, it bounced off of it, but it was still up in the water column.
So something interesting I just learned about this last 2 years. Do you think, like, let's say the water temp here in Florida at, let's say, 1 o'clock in the afternoon is anywhere between 87 and 90 degrees in a lot of areas, or 85 to 90 degrees.
Okay.
Right around now. So the temperature of the water that's falling, when we have huge rains, like we've been having every day at 3 o'clock, do you think that makes those fish suspend because of the lake not actually doing it, but the water turning over because heat rises? So if the water is, let's say 90 degrees and the water coming down is 60 degrees or 70 degrees, whatever, do you think that water starts to swap? Even just because it's a small amount, it's not like up north when it goes to 30 degrees or whatever, but do you think it starts to cool down and start swapping, and the fish are coming up because the temperature that they're in down there starts to cool down, and they start rising to the temperature they've been in the whole time?
Yeah, I guess that kind of frames up like the framing that I said. The other thing, so yes, it does something stupid and screws stuff up, and it literally has to do with the rain. The other thing that I've noticed that happens is on lakes that have what do you call them, like domestic, like homes and stuff like that. So you got lawns and all that garbage. Like Harris is a good example. You know, there's houses on the lake.
Runoffs, all that stuff.
That's the trick. So there's separation to those water temps, and what ends up happening is you get like an inch or two of rain or something. You get these big rains or continual rains. It creates this surface water, and the surface water can have all this garbage in it.
It's all low oxygenated water.
It's low oxygenated, but as it cooks, you get like it's not an algae bloom on the surface, but like that top water layer. Like I got a lake down in Sebring, it turns red, dude.
Yeah.
In like
Tannic.
dude, in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's tannins.
Crazy. It rains in the afternoon and it goes from green, beautiful, like semi-stained, like TVA clear to that joker turns red on the top. I don't know if it's red 5 feet down, 8 feet down. All I know is the fish don't bite when it happens. And I can see it, dude. Like you can literally see the water turn. So something happens when we get those rains. The rising water, I think, is a big player, especially when the rains are continual, because those fish know it's happening, but they don't want to go to the grass because the water's 85, 89 degrees. But the bait moves up too, though. You can go on Aileron, weir, and freaking, dude, all that bait's up. Like the bait balls that you see, they're 10 foot off the bottom.
Right.
And I don't usually fish a lot of bait balls unless it's super dense, but like that's where the fish are. Like you can pick up on that really quick. And this rain doesn't help. Like I don't know, it screws up my ultra bite, it pisses me off. But it makes them harder to catch. It makes them harder to catch for everybody, so you got to adapt.
Right.
Vernon Kemp wants to know, Jacob and Mikey, what's your 100% go-to bait?
Yeah, I'm putting
Yeah, I think. I mean, day in day out, if I could only throw one every day, 365 days a year, I mean, it's a jig for me.
What kind of jig?
Half ounce Santone, it's an M series jig. I tie my own skirts, so color varies based on water conditions. Usually some shade of green pumpkin. More times than not, I don't get too complicated on color selection. I don't lead you down a rabbit hole you don't want to go down. But I mean, day in day out, just a half ounce jig. I use a Zoom Z-Craw Junior as a trailer 95% of the time, unless it's in the spring. Then I use a big Zoom big salty chunk, and you can do just about everything with a jig. You can fish it in all the water columns bottom. You can swim it. You can do anything with it.
That's a crazy thing about here too. Like, you go out of state, and a Z-Craw is like a staple item everywhere outside of Florida, and I would say that's one of our least sold, Zoom baits here in the store, and it's overlooked.
That's the thing with the little
Yeah,
doodles.
it's like a beaver style bait with
it's got
kickers on it. But it's
It's like a rage craw too is really popular outside of Florida, but here
we use them
it's
a
not.
lot here. We
Really?
sell a lot of rage craws, rage
yeah,
bugs,
okay.
rage craws. But for whatever reason, the Z craw is just not a fast mover here, and everywhere out of the state of Florida, it won't stay on a shelf.
Well, it does a bunch of things too, like
Z craw and
trailer,
Z craw and Z craw Junior.
They're missing out because it's such a
I get it.
versatile
I
bait.
get
You
it.
can fish it by itself. You can use it as a trailer on.
Yeah, and we stock both of
Anything.
them, and they just don't. They're not one of those things that just
Well, maybe
jumps
they will
on.
now.
I hope so. Maybe they will. Everybody needs to try them out.
How about you, Mikey?
I'm a lot less dimensional. Day in and day out. I suck during the winter. I love fishing a trap during the winter. But you start getting in the summer, you still catch them on it, but it's just not as good. Down in Florida, you can catch them year round on a trap pretty good. But I love that Ned, and that's just the past couple of years. I've done so many funky things with it, from like this year, the swimming it thing, and then I used it to fish vertically for fish, or not even vertically, but like 5 to 10 foot out. I'd see them on the active target, and I could literally pitch, almost like smallmouth fishing, pitch that thing out and just shake it to them. I just do a lot of funky stuff with it, and every time I think I've done everything I can with the net, I figure out some other dumb thing that doesn't make any sense, because it's not a very dynamic bait. Like it's not, you put a freaking fat ace on the back, or I put that burner crawl on the back, and you drag it pretty much. But like swimming it, stuff like, I've even fished it like a spoon, dude. Like I've stroked that thing and popped it up and freaking caught them. But yeah, in winter it's not a big play unless it warms up pretty good, because that soft plastic stuff doesn't go over too well.
Fouts, you throw Ned rig at all?
Do you really want to hear my opinion on that rig?
Oh dear,
Yes,
I like
Lord,
it.
Lord,
Fire.
Please.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it PG.
I love it.
I just feel like less of a man when I have to throw one.
Oh my
Less is,
Is it because you catch them on it?
no, I just think it's just so.
It is needle dicking,
It's-
dude.
yeah,
Yeah, it is.
That's a nice way to put it.
Well, but I mean, it is funky though because, dude, you literally like you can cast it or you kind of like with it all of it. It's it is.
Unless you're fishing for smallmouth, then I'll gladly throw it. But
Or on Lake Norman? for
unfortunately,
everything that bites?
it's probably my number one bait I put on for clients.
But that's actually maybe that's the point, dude. It catches a bunch, but like it does catch bigs too. That's
No,
what's
it-
kind of
it-
like
It definitely, it's a fish catcher, no doubt.
it is, dude.
My favorite thing in the world.
I love it.
Outside of a tournament, if I gotta throw a net rig, I'm probably not gonna catch them.
Really?
Really?
I'm just not gonna throw it.
No
Let
confidence?
me ask you this then. Like, what finesse fishing is a more general topic? Okay, you don't like that stuff,
I'll pick up a drop shot,
right?
no problem, or a shaky head or anything like that. I don't know what,
You just don't
I
like
feel
that, man.
Less of a man, I guess. I
Less
don't
of
know
a
what it is.
man. That hurts.
He doesn't like little pieces
Not-
of plastic.
I mean, I'm not trying to take a shot at you.
Well, see, I'm comfortable with myself, so like when I pick up that little.
I'm trying to say.
Oh boy.
No,
Well,
that
Mikey
makes
uses,
sense.
Mikey
though, dude.
uses the big Ned rig.
I
too.
use the big, but I use the small one too. I mean, dude, when the smallmouth spawn on Pickwick, like you can't beat that thing.
Yeah.
Like you sit there. I've never fished as slow as I've fished in my life at the dam, but we caught them like for like 4 days straight with a million boats around us, and it's a window thing. You know, it's when they're
Yeah.
spawning. But you sit there and like we were saying, like you needle dick it. It's not brainiac fishing. It's dead sticking basically, you know, and but you miss the thing that I found, like, because I actually tried to catch them on a jig and maybe like Texas rigging, like a little like cut down stick bait and that. You miss so many fish during the spawn, those smallmouth, the way they nip at it and that, and you're basically blind fishing them anyways. The only way that I could actually close the deal on them was like a Ned or like an eco rig, pretty much, like some kind of open hook presentation that's very like if there's a pull, you pull back and the deal's closed kind of thing. But I don't know. I love that net, dude. I love Nico rig fishing too. I wish you could fish a Nico rig more. Like I can get that net in fairly thick like boulders and wood and stuff and get it out. That Nico rig, unless you got like the hands of a surgeon, I hang it too much, dude. Even with like a little brush guard on there, like those little wire ties, it just I can't get it through. Otherwise, I'd probably fish that more.
All right, I think we exhausted ourselves on.
That was a good conversation.
sorts of
I feel really bad about throwing a Ned rig now.
Wow.
I
I don't know. It's funny you say that with your clients and stuff. That I've become very reliant on it, and I think it's actually a shortfall because it is easy to get bites. It's easy to test water, and then you almost get stuck doing it. Whereas you probably should pick up a jig. You should pick up something else that maybe you might not get as many bites, but you're gonna get the right bite. And maybe that's kind of the mentality where I need to kind of up my game, dude.
I think it's just me as a tournament fisherman. I try to catch 5 big ones. I'm not.
Yeah.
Obviously, when I'm with clients, I want them to catch as many as possible, and more times than not, they're plenty happy with 3 and 4 pounders.
Oh hell yeah! I'm happy with that, dude.
Even 2 pounders, and I've seen a bunch. Just this, I haven't really thrown it a whole lot until this summer, where you pull up on a school and you throw a plug, and then you throw a jig or a worm, and it's like you're fishing in a ghost town. You pick up a net, and it's
Yeah.
a cast.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's grown on me a little bit
Right.
this past few months, but it's just not my favorite thing to fish. But it's definitely
Try fishing a bigger one. I think you might like it. Take like a 7-inch stick bait and cut it
Okay.
in half. It's a little more masculine and it gets some
Right.
big bite. Like there's something too like you know how you talk about like a long worm, like the big 10-inch worm, classic, or a 13-inch worm on those ledges work. I got in my philosophy is like going chode with it, I guess, instead of going long, you go short and wide. But you know what I'm saying? That like you're still getting that bulkier presentation, but like you don't miss them as much. You get all them fish up there on TV are smart, dude. They will nibble dick that deal. You like feeling like And dude, it can be a 4-pounder, it can be a 5, and they're so smart about seeing that bait and that Ned with it being short. I'm trying to sell it now that I just gotta let it go, Hunter. Don't I? All right, I'm letting it go. I'm letting it go.
But all right, well, we appreciate you guys coming down and hanging out with us, and I think we had a really good time talking about and getting Mikey triggered too.
I enjoy these conversations.
I try to get Mikey triggered the whole time he's here.
For my live stream, real quick, guys, if you want, where are you on Instagram?
On Instagram, I'm actually everywhere. I'm Chris King Refishing on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, all of it.
Jacob, you are a cool dude, and I like how you took my fire and you fired back. We got to talk more after the video. But where can they find you on Instagram? Give you a
Instagram,
follow?
Facebook, it's just Jacob Fouts Fishing. Look me up. Book a guide trip with me.
And that's Hunter.
What's up?
Come on, Hunter.
You can find me everywhere at Hunter Bland Fishing.
Hunter Bland Fishing. All right, we're wrapping up my live stream. We're out.
And then